Movie review. Share and enjoy. This is Movie Uncover. I am James. The movie we are sharing today is So Long, My Son. The lead roles of Wang Jingchun and Yong Mei won the 32nd Golden Rooster Award for Best Actor and Actress and the 69th Berlin International Film Festival Silver Bear Award for Best Actor and Actress. This is in China's 80s. Family planning, laid-off re-employment in the background of such times. The film makes people vaguely painful when watching, writing the era of every small person. Their fate is unpredictable, much tricked, but no one can control their own lives. The theme of this movie is the helplessness in life situations, or the forgiveness and tolerance between people. But above the individual, the bigger theme is the times. Li Yun, we call her Lin, and Yao Jun, we call him Jim, are husband and wife, both working in the northern state-owned steel mills, Iron Rice Bowl. They have a son named Star. The neighboring couple, Hai Yan, we call her Yan, and Ying Ming, we call him Ming, are quite close to them, and they also have a son named Hao Hao. We call him Henley. Jim and Ming were buddies for many years. Once they went to the countryside together, returned to the city together, entered the factory together. Each got married, and the two families were neighbors, so close that even their sons were born on the same day of the same year and month. So they recognized each other's parents as godparents. Ming's sister, Molly, is interning at the factory when Jim becomes her teacher. Molly was young, beautiful and quirky, and very attractive. It was as if the two families were destined to be inseparable. There is also Xin Jian, we call him Adam, and Mei Yu, we call her Mei, who are in a relationship, good relationship with both families too. They secretly closed the door in the house, turn on the music, Adam and Mei bouncing with the music. The other people are also very involved in watching. At this time, Yan came. She worked in the Ministry of Family Planning. Old-fashioned thinking. The day goes on in such an uneventful way. Lin is pregnant with a second child. The couple tried to hide it, but Lin suddenly fainted one day and was discovered by Yan. Jim wanted very much to keep the child and wanted to make a final struggle. But this was not a matter for one or two families. This is the flood of time. No one can be alone. No one can escape. Lin is in the operating room for a forced abortion, and Jim is waiting outside the operating room, unable to do anything. But wait, this feeling of powerlessness caused him pain. An even more unfortunate event occurred when Lin hemorrhaged during the surgery and was no longer fertile. Although Yan feels guilty, it was Jim who lied to her when he had his ligation. Besides, the policy is to have only one child. Lucky they have a son, Star, the family's only child. This matter will gradually be forgotten. The world of adults. The most important thing is to see things with the eyes of adults. Lin understands very well that, in this matter, Yan is not at fault. Even their passive discovery was reported as an active confession. As a result, they were awarded as excellent employees of the factory, and the relationship between the two families was not affected, and the harmony was as good as ever. Everyone was having a good time in the ballroom, and Jim came late. Molly insists on asking him to dance with her, and ambiguous feelings gradually occur. Jim has a beautiful family, and he knows he can't think in that direction. It's just love for his disciple. Not to mention that Molly is the sister of his good buddy. Not long after, Adam went to another place to attend the underground ball, was arrested in the police station. He was punished for being too alternative and highlighting their individuality. In those days, such activities were not allowed.
我挺好的，政府对我挺宽大，不打不骂，挺好的。我会配合政府，好好改造。
Everyone came to see Adam after shushing, leaving space for Adam and Mei. Mei said she was going to South. She insisted on waiting for Adam out of prison. With the passage of time, Star and Henley grew up. The two little brothers stick all day to play together. Star and Henley were born on the same day of the same year, every birthday spent together, a lively room, full of people, two little ones, with cake and candy, happy as can be. But soon, the wave of layoffs came. Lynn got worried, and she approached the manager several times, but the manager said that, who been awarded as excellent employees, should take the lead to comply. But the award for family planning is not what Lynn wants. At this time Yan came to pick up Henley, incidentally mentioned the matter, a family to avoid family planning to hide in the village, but finally caught back to abort the child. After Yan leaves, Jim throws away the game console handle and throws a tantrum. At first, in order to save the job, aborted the child, and now, still lost the job. At the layoff conference, the leaders read the layoff list, and Jim and Lynn were listed. As the saying goes, no blessing comes without a curse. Bad luck strikes again for the family, which is on the verge of collapse. After both are laid off, Henley and Star came to the reservoir. Other children were having fun down there. Henley is very anxious. Stars do not swim and dare not go down. In the end, under Henley's encouragement, Star still went down. The scene shifted, and the adults shouted and ran towards the reservoir. Henley crouched on the edge of the pavilion, shivering. Some mistakes made is a lifetime of torture. Jim ran to the hospital with the drowned Star in his arms. Through the dark train tunnel, the roar sounding like mourning. Broken hearts are scattered all over the place, and the loss of a child is an unbearable blow to any family. Some more, the only child. Lynn and Jim did not complain about anyone. Even so, Yan and Ming are in a state of fear every day. Yan could not believe that it was her son who took Star to the reservoir to play. Loud scolding also did not help. Henley cried on the way home from his grandmother's house and had a high fever. On New Year's Eve, Jim and Lynn declined everyone's invitation, not knowing how they should participate in such parties in the future. Every time see other people's families happy, slightly healed wound will be uncovered again and again, not to mention that their state of mind will also make others spoil the fun. Outside the fireworks, firelight enters the cold house. The lively is someone else's. It was snowing outside, but inside it was warm as spring, and everyone was happy and warmly exchanging pleasantries. After 3 rounds of wine, and inevitably remembered the unpleasant past, choked with guilt. In the house, Yan crying in the bathroom. May's comfort is not helpful. The departure of Star tormented all living people. One early morning, Lynn and Jim packed their bags and left. Perhaps their departure is good for themselves and others. Cannot let everyone live forever in the shadow of it. Jim and Lynn adopted a child who looks like Star and named him Star. They settled in a small seaside town and opened a repair shop. The adopted son, Star, is rebellious and stubborn, so he feels that he is always a substitute for others and cannot find the value of his own existence. Eventually ran away from home and mixed up in society. That day, Jim received a phone call. In the evening, he shaved up and told Lynn that he was going to the city to buy goods. The next day, Jim came into town and walked into a hotel. The door was opened by Molly. Molly sat on the crumpled bed, talking to Jim, reminiscing to herself about the old days. It was almost dark when Lynn called. Jim said the car broke down and was delayed. When he arrived home, Lynn was still waiting at the table. After a while, Molly took a boat to the place where Jim was working. Rubbing shoulders, Lynn saw a familiar face on the opposite boat, and she seemed to guess a thing or two. Molly comes to visit this time and tells Jim that she is pregnant. She felt that Jim and Lynn wanted the baby very much. This child could be given to them to raise, or even tell Lynn that the child was picked up. But how can things be as simple as Molly thinks? If he really did that, it would be a great harm to him, to Lynn, and to the child, even though Jim loves the child very much. When they parted, Jim watched Molly get into the car. Molly waved vigorously, using all her strength to say goodbye. The car went far away. Jim could not hold back anymore. Although Lynn did not catch the evidence of Jim's cheating, sometimes a woman's sixth sense is more accurate than anything else. She said to Jim, "If you want a divorce, I will agree." In fact, since the death of Star, they both lie for each other as well. If they really divorced, plus their adopted son also left home, Lynn would have absolutely no faith to live again. That night, Jim drank too much wine, hugging the family's photo frame. sleeping heavily, woke up in the middle of the night, looking for water to drink, and saw the note left by Lin. Frightened, he frantically searched for her, and finally found Lin, who had committed suicide in his adopted son's bedroom. He carried her and ran to the hospital. Back then, he was holding his son in the same way, and in the dark, the more tired Jim ran. At that moment, he was on a dark island, and everyone was leaving him. Thousands of miles away from home, Yan was diagnosed with a terminal illness and was dying. Before she died, she wanted to see Lin and Jim one last time. After 20 years of wandering, they are back. The hometown is being built better and better, only people are getting older and older. The original silo set to demolish has not been demolished. In addition to older, there is no other change. Lin and Jim lived in again and posed for pictures. After settling in, the old couple came to the hospital. 20 years passed quickly, this long-awaited meeting, so that everyone's heart has this indescribable taste. Henry came out with a heavy heart to greet his godfather and godmother, which he had never mentioned to his wife. When Yan mentioned the matter, he would also use the excuse of going to work to avoid it. For that incident back then, Henry seems to have an ulterior motive. In the ward, Yan has been too weak to speak. "See Lin come," she said with all her strength. "We have money. Don't worry, you can give born." Yan spent much of the rest of her life in guilt, and that incident tormented her since then, and she was not relieved until her death. Was she at fault? Yes. It does not seem to make sense. No, it does not seem to make sense either. The root cause of the problem can only be attributed to the times. Her fate is not her decision at all. Everyone's fate is the same, controlled by an invisible hand. No one can escape. After the funeral ceremony, Henry was determined to do one thing. He drove his godparents back to the residence. Because of the arrival of Henry, the old couple's faces were smiling, and they talked more. Henry saw the photo on the table. Jim was afraid of embarrassment. Rounding up, while talking about how he put this out, while stuffing it into his pocket, Henry could not hold back any longer. Tell the death of the stars that year. The whole story. That day by the reservoir, Star do not want to go down to play. But Henry thought, since he doesn't want to go and he could not persuade Star, so he went down with other kids. But other kids began to laugh. Star make me feel ashamed, and said to Star, "You do not come down, I will not take you to play." Stars went down. At first Star just play mud on the shore. Play and play. We began to swim inside the reservoir. Star did not dare to go. Henry pulled Stars to go inside. Stars was scared, shouting, desperately grabbed Henry. Henry feel ashamed, pushed him aside. Speaking of which, Henry has sobbed uncontrollably. The healing scars were uncovered again, and the tears couldn't stop flowing down. In fact, this matter is known to all, but they are to protect Henry, who no longer mention this matter, think that time may slowly fade away. After the Star incident, Henry was very sick and told the truth. Ming had taken a kitchen knife to find Jim, a life for a life, but time did not let Henry fade away this matter. Instead, it is about to devour him. Some mistakes made really can never be undone. The next day, Jim and Lin dressed up and went to the tomb of Star. It is the most helpless tragedy in the world that people are separated from each other forever. Really, living is more important than anything else. Jim's cell phone rang, and the happy news came from the other end. Henry's baby was born, and it was a boy. I cannot speculate that this is the old couple's son's grave. Feeling the heart of others' joy, this is how complex life is. At the end of the movie, everyone gathered, teasing Henry's newborn son. Henry's video call with his aunt in the United States is Molly. Lin has a slight embarrassment. When Ming let Molly's son come over, Jim's ironic face had guilt and a hint of hope, and then the despondency when he saw the child was a hybrid. The acting skills were simply divine. The good thing is that the screenwriter gave the old couple a happier ending. The adopted son Star with his girlfriend home. See, the parents are not there. So call Jim. At this moment, Jim was going through a roller coaster experience. When they received the call from Star, the two were very happy, and told Star to take good care of the store. They would go back immediately. The movie is 3 hours long, and the story spans 30 years of time experienced by two families, having experienced the great transformation of society, and the violent changes of reform and opening. Their fates are unpredictable, and caught in the crossfire, no one can control their own life. A small change can trigger a butterfly effect. that can change a lifetime. The life of ordinary people in the torrent of the times is told in a little by a little, and mixed with sorrow and joy. Despite their miserable and tragic lives, they live resiliently and with good intentions. Well, that's it for today's commentary. Please subscribe, click the like button and share this video. Movie Uncover. See you next time.